This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Once again, the Duchess of Deceit is turning to Star Magazine to stir up public attention in what feels like yet another predictable rinse and repeat cycle. Remember, virtually everything we see playing out in the tabloids is designed to keep Meghan in the headlines, reinforce specific narratives, and shape public perception, all at a pace and on terms that suit Harry and Meghan. You might be wondering why I bother to cover this kind of tabloid fodder when we already know it's not to be taken at face value. The short answer is that Meghan's PR operation is almost certainly behind most of these planted stories. If they weren't, there would have been a lawsuit by now, due to the frequency of cover stories that we see being put out almost weekly about these two. Over the course of this entire saga, I think you would agree that one of the biggest takeaways has been how PR and the media machinery can quietly influence public opinion, steer behaviors and mindsets, and unknowingly push us towards desired outcomes. Whether the goal is celebrity relevance or something more political, there's almost always an agenda. And with Meghan, it's especially consistent. Since we've established that she or her team actively feeds material to Star Magazine, it's worth paying close attention to when we see these exclusives come out. These pieces often contain a small kernel of truth, along with subtle foreshadowing of what's coming next. And you'll see exactly what I mean as we break down this article. So get comfortable and let's get into it. Now, obviously, these cover stories are designed to catch people's attention. Harry returns to England and is making a claim on King Charles's $1 billion estate. Definitely is an attention grabber. Harry and Meghan. Can she stop him? As the Duke of Sussex inches closer to a deeper reunion with his father, his wife worries his road back to Britain could unravel what they've built in California. And the photo that they chose here of Meghan obviously was a choice to make Meghan look like she's afraid. But anyway, the article begins. On the heels of his successful court victories against the UK press in his phone hacking and voicemail tapping cases in 2025, Prince Harry has one more battle ahead. The Duke of Sussex heads back to London to take on Associated Newspapers alongside other high-profile claimants including Elton John, Liz Hurley, and Sadie Frost for a new unlawful information gathering trial January 19th. It marks the final legal step in his series of lawsuits against the publisher of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday, which deny the accusations. The 41-year-old is also buoyed by a shift in another extended war, his fight for security for him and his family in the UK. In late 2025, after refusing to provide full security since 2020, when Harry and Meghan stepped back as working royals to move to the United States, the British government agreed to conduct a full threat assessment and review of Harry's safety needs. The move opens the door to a full-scale return for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and their children, Archie 6 and 4-year-old little Betty. And this right here is one of those little seeds that I'm talking about. All throughout last year, leading up to now, with all these articles saying that Harry is desperately trying to get back, and now we're moving towards if he gets his security back, then he'll be able to go back to the UK. Now you see here, in this line, it says the move opens the door to a full-scale return for not just Prince Harry, it's now the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and their two invisible children. So clearly they are moving the public in the direction of, ultimately, a return for these two back to the UK. While Harry may be ready to charge forward, back home on their $14.65 million Olive Garden castle, the changing current is stirring up fresh strain. Harry is eager to build on any progress with his estranged father, King Charles III, 77, following their first face-to-face meeting in more than 18 months last September. But the biracial Meghan questions the institution that she said is unapologetically racist, and that left her contemplating unaliving herself by keeping silent about her ill treatment in the British press. Meghan is sick and tired of the negative scrutiny they have to live with 24/7. It's worn her down, a source tells Star. Meghan. In many ways, she believes Harry's not helping the situation by essentially groveling to be closer with his family. And this is what I meant by rinse and repeat. Now we're going to see Meghan introduce the race card again and start this drama once again about how racist the royal family is, doubling down on the institutional racism and the unconscious bias that Meghan experienced. Is it going to work the second time around in the UK? I don't know. For sure, it's not working here in the United States. That era is over. Tension has been building. Harry sees a security victory as a direct path to reconciliation. Meghan sees it as backsliding into old problems. She wishes they could move on, focus on their work in Hollywood and charity causes, instead of looking weak, says the source. Meghan. Indeed, the former Deal or No Deal briefcase girl is no stranger to cutting off those who have offended her, including her father, adds the source. She's counseled Harry that sometimes it's for the best to just let go. It's been hard for her to watch Harry so focused on the life she wishes he'd leave in his rear view. What irks her is that he makes all the right noises about leaving England behind and standing up for his American family, only to change his stance and go groveling to his father and others when she doesn't expect it, says the source. Meghan. To Meghan, the source explains there's a difference between Harry repairing a relationship with his dad and Harry reattaching himself to the institution they've repeatedly said tried to destroy them. Meghan's been blindsided and somewhat betrayed in that way. So essentially what you're seeing Meghan do, and she did this back in 2021 during the Oprah interview, which was set this whole entire thing up to be Harry's decision. So the reason why Harry and Meghan left was because Harry made the decision to take his family away to keep them safe.
Yeah, she did. Without question, she saved them.
I think that's lovely. I would disagree. I think he saved all of us.
All the while, we know that Meghan was behind driving that decision. The same thing applies here. Meghan is setting it up like, woe is me. I don't want to go back to a place that was, really hateful towards me, even though I was a complete bitch. She is making it look like, well, I am this independent woman. You see how I dropped my family and friends, anybody that, didn't align with what I wanted to do. And I just kept on moving. Why can't you do that, Harry? Why can't you let us move forward and let me run your life? You have to go back to your family? She's putting this all on his shoulders. Meanwhile, I will bet you that Meghan is the one who's behind egging Harry on, saying, look, we need to get the security back. Like, we can't, be prosecuted for any of this stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, this little devil is making it look like on the surface, like she's some kind of victim. Meanwhile, she is the actual perpetrator. Meghan hasn't returned to the UK since Queen Elizabeth II's 2022 funeral. The idea of going back, the source explains, feels like walking into a lion's den. Still, Harry's hopes are rising that it will soon be possible to bring his wife and children to his homeland safely. Perhaps even for the countdown for his beloved Invictus Games for wounded soldiers in Birmingham, England this summer. More crucially, he hopes he could be moving closer to the larger reconciliation he's longed for. All this leaves Meghan increasingly anxious that the life she thought they were building, their happy California routine, her Hollywood ambitions, her reinvention as a businesswoman with her as ever, whatever lifestyle brand, is starting to feel secondary to Harry's pullback towards his roots. Meghan loves their little bubble in Montecito. She worries it's meaning less and less for Harry as he gets closer with the royals again, the source explains. He seems increasingly determined to reattach himself, to the firm, and there's growing talk that he will try to negotiate some type of part-time royal gig. Now, here's where Meghan's delusions kick up a notch. Harry, the source adds, sees that as a dream scenario. Independence in America while keeping one foot inside the monarchy and the privileges that come with it. Such a reconciliation is impossible for his wife without official acknowledgement of their pain. If she can't stop Harry from returning, Meghan wants a guarantee. She's insisting on an apology from the royals for subjecting them to so much unpleasantness and hostility, says the source. She's adamant it's the least that she and Harry deserve. If it's not forthcoming, she's not willing to travel, period. She's determined to stand up for herself, even if Harry isn't. Without it, Meghan sees a return as reopening every wound they've been trying to close, and the push-pull is putting pressure on their marriage, even if the bond is still there. Yeah, okay, Meghan. The harsh reality is that they're on opposite pages over a lot of things these days, and it's taking a real toll on them behind the scenes, says the source. They're under more pressure than ever. Gee, I wonder why. Harry's moves to reconcile have also opened suspicions about other motives. The king's health remains a sensitive subject 2 years after he was diagnosed with an undisclosed cancer, as does his legacy, both royal and financial. Royal biographer Robert Jobson's November 2025 book, The Windsor Legacy, A Royal Dynasty of Secrets, Scandal, and Survival, underscores how money was already a flashpoint when Harry and Meghan left royal life behind. Per the book, Harry, fifth in line to the throne, asked Charles for funds. He insisted it was to pay for private security. Charles bristled, allegedly telling friends, "I'm not a bank." The Prince of Wales is in agreement. From William's perspective, his brother is a traitor who deserves no favors or special treatment from the crown whatsoever, the source says, adding that the heir apparent is trying to prevent Harry from benefiting financially in any way. He's even trying to get Harry blocked from any royal inheritance, apparently, says the source. Though with Charles's estimated $1 billion, there's plenty to go around. Yeah, I think we all know that the likelihood of Prince Harry getting disinherited is zero. I'm pretty sure that Harry and his bitch wife and those 2 invisible kids will be well taken care of. And I'm pretty sure that we'll start to see these little seeds being planted of William warming up, or small little signs that William is forgiving Prince Harry. And then next thing you know, the 2 brothers are on camera during an interview saying, well, life is short. This is my brother. He's blood, blah, blah, blah. And everything goes back to normal without Meghan, because the mission failed here in the United States. And I think from a PR company perspective, that's going to be wishful thinking, that they're going to be able to go back into the fold as if nothing happened. That's if Harry gets his security back and does move back to the UK. If he doesn't get his security back, or for whatever reason that Harry has to stay here in the United States to address some of the things that he has been doing here, then no, that scenario is not going to play out. Now, I'm under the impression that the news about Harry's security is supposed to happen sometime next week, so we're just going to have to see what plays out. But back to finishing up Meghan's thirst for attention this week in Star magazine. The article concludes by saying, William is expected to be out of town for at least part of Harry's January visit. He and wife, Princess Catherine, they say Kate here, are due in Scotland on January 21st for a series of royal engagements. Reports indicate he won't see Charles either. The king prefers to avoid associating with active court cases. But courtiers still worry about an explosive palace showdown if the once close brothers cross paths. William is still burning with resentment towards his brother. There are actually very real fears it could get ugly, even physical, if they come face to face on one of Harry's visits, explains the source, pointing to Harry's claims in his 2023 memoir Spare that William physically attacked him during a 2019 Kensington Palace confrontation over issues with Meghan, according to Spare. William denied the attack. the future king is willing to use his influence to block a reconciliation between his father and his brother. He does still carry a lot of influence, and he wants Harry as far out of the picture as possible, says the source. The anger, the source adds, runs so deep courtiers tiptoe around the topic. It's at a point now where people are afraid to utter the Sussex's name in his presence. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious in how they are delicately now including Meghan into bringing both of them back now into the fold. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious in what they're trying to do here. They are delicately positioning now for both of them to go back to the UK. At first, it was just Harry, and Meghan, no way, no how, will never step foot again on UK soil. Now, we have these little seeds being planted. I mean, like 2 weeks ago, the whole week was consumed about, rumor has it that Meghan is thinking about going back to the UK with Harry. Right? What is she going to do? Is she going to be a fashion designer? Is she going to go back and doing service? I mean, for a full week, nonstop articles about, Meghan might be returning to the UK. Now, in this article, it's saying that Meghan won't go back to the UK unless she gets this apology from the royal family. And you know what's going to happen? If indeed security is granted back to this ginger prick, we're going to see the royal family cave and give Meghan what she wants, but give it in a way that meets her halfway. And when I say meet her halfway, it's going to be some bullshit like of conceding and giving Meghan a small acknowledgement of them not meeting her expectations, and because of that caused her some pain and they're sorry for it. And then finishing it off by saying that this is the first meaningful step towards reconciliation, and, we will learn from our mistakes of the past and grow to be better in the future. You know how it goes. But I do see this coming up just to keep the peace, or at least keep the narrative cool for now. And it being done around Easter time, because what better way to take advantage of telling people that you need to forgive as well, just as Christ taught us to forgive, and that's it. Like, nobody's going to be able to question it. Meghan's going to rock on back in, sticking her middle fingers up at everybody, saying, see, bitches, I will do what I please. Because that's what she's been doing. I hope that's not the case, but this is what I'm playing out in my head, because these two have gotten away with everything, but hopefully that's not going to last too much longer, and that they will be held accountable. Yeah, they did say Harry's security decision was going to come in January, so we'll just have to see what happens next week. But as far as this article goes, I think Harry and Meghan are making it very clear what their expectation is, specifically Meghan. And we all know how Meghan loves to manifest and put things out there to force the hand of other people. But I don't think it's going to work this time. But we will see. We'll see if Harry's pressure campaign, because if you haven't noticed, every article that's put out there about Harry, regardless if it's talking about court case or talking about a charity, they always have to slip in that, this month the Home Office is reviewing Harry's case to see if he does deserve taxpayer-funded security, so now he can go back and feel safe. Every single article, they make sure to mention that. So I don't know if that's going to be effective, or if that's going to turn the Home Office off, or will they cave into public pressure? Because the whole point of making this global and creating the awareness and saturating every corner of the media space is to get people on board and feeling sorry for Harry because he doesn't feel safe in his own country. And now that he has stepped up and spoke against Donald Trump, I'm sure that won him some brownie points with the Labour Party. I mean, as is, Harry was hanging around Parliament last week, spending some time hanging around the House of Lords with Baroness Lawrence. Probably had something to do with his security case. I mean, he is working the crowd because he's desperate. Like, here's another article that was released literally a few minutes ago, highlighting today's Saturday that Prince Harry's horror as stalker sits just meters behind him in high court. Today is Saturday. Harry was in court throughout the week. Why wasn't this talked about throughout the week? Well, it's because they have to keep this at the forefront of everybody's mind. So it says here from the Express UK, the woman who is thought to have mental health issues and has been seen near the Duke on multiple occasions was reportedly spotted by security. So it says here, a woman known to have stalked Prince Harry sat a few meters behind him on 2 occasions during his court case last week, according to reports. Well, I thought if there is somebody who is posing a threat to somebody in the United Kingdom, that they could be put on a, what is that threat list in the UK? Like, wouldn't this woman be on that list? You know, common sense would think so, but it's all about the optics, right? Says here, the Duke of Sussex was in court for the opening of his legal action against the publisher of the Daily Mail over allegations of unlawful information gathering and to give evidence in the case. On 2 of the 4 days he attended the High Court, he was flanked by a known stalker who is thought to be suffering from mental health issues, a source told The Telegraph. Yeah, was it the same squatty that was standing out there, just standing there to make it look like she was a fan of yours? Probably. The woman reportedly took a seat in the public gallery a short distance behind the prince before being noticed by his security team, who then alerted the court staff. There's nothing they could do, the source said. They're not the police. It's a public building, and she has a right to be there. He is obviously worried about his security situation. It's not ideal. The stalker previously followed Harry to Nigeria and also managed to sneak into a secure zone of a London hotel where he was attending an award show last September. Reports suggest. Doesn't confirm it. It's not fact. It suggests. She was once again spotted close to him just days later at the Center for Blast Injury Studies in West London, and is said to be on a list of fixated individuals drawn up by a private intelligence company. And there we are. You know, why isn't she on this fixated threat list in the UK? I think that would qualify, no? In this scenario, this woman hasn't done anything to Harry. Sure, she's followed him around, allegedly. I'm pretty sure that there was some agreement behind the scenes because I think we all know what squatty we're talking about. And to make it look like he's got this stalker, but this woman hasn't done anything to him. So to merely just put this out there and say that she has mental health issues, maybe she doesn't have mental health issues. How do you know? You know what I mean? This is all smoke and mirrors. And what Harry is doing here is using this made-up case of this woman who I will bet money he has paid to just show up there and make it look like she's crazy in order to help him get the security back, in which you can bet that the private firm that he has hired to help with this home office assessment is going to put this fictitious character into your report to make it look like you have these real threats, and then brief the media on this fictitious character so it can broadcast everywhere to create the optics of why you need the security. Like, you can't be any more obvious, Harry. If you were really concerned about your security, because people who are legitimately in fear of their life don't go around broadcasting every move that they make and letting People magazine report on the so-called threats that you have just to sell everybody that you deserve this taxpayer-funded security, because you just make it that much more obvious on how staged everything is, and nobody is buying it. At least I'm not buying it. Or the other thing is, maybe they're doing this because in the event he does get the security back, they can say, see, this is justification as to why, I deserve the security, almost like a cover your ass type of thing. No, I don't buy this for a second, because if you have to go to the media and broadcast it, then you really don't need security. You really don't. Like, I can't stand looking at these two anymore. They make me physically ill. Truly, they do. What do you guys think, though? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.